Today, we're going to take a look at an open source company that is accelerating data with their storage engine, but we're also going to see how moving to an open source model really accelerated their growth. So stay tuned. Hey everybody, this is Chris Brandt here with Sandesh Patel. Welcome to another FUTR podcast. With all the competition in the market, shifting to an open source model can really be a differentiator. When the founders of Speedb were trying to find a way to accelerate their data access, they looked at the available tools. They realized that to get something that would handle the rapid expansion of metadata, they would need to build it themselves. When they took it to market, they realized that getting their message to the people who needed to hear it was difficult. But by switching to an open source model, they caught the attention of the developers at the heart of their market. So let's talk with Speedb co-founder and CEO Adi Gelvan about their journey and about how their storage engine can help with the expansion of metadata in your environment. Welcome, Adi.
Thanks for having me.
Well, thanks for being on. I think this is a really interesting story because I think what's cool about what you, besides the fact that I think the accelerating storage engines and all that is sort of like really coming into its own right now with hyperscale and HPC and all those kinds of things happening in the, really emerging in the market. But the thing that's really cool is like you started with kind of trying to find an open source solution. You built a product, and then you realized that open sourcing it would really help get your message across and really deliver to the market what they're looking for. So it's sort of a full cycle journey, and I really want to dig into that because I think that's a really cool story. But before we get into all that, could you just give me a little background on what Speedb is and how you got to it?
So the story of Speedb starts when we were working at a storage company, a very successful one. We were building enterprise storage systems, petabyte scale systems, and
Right.
I was running the business. My co-founders were the chief architect and chief scientist. They've actually built this technology. And at some point, we faced a challenge. The known metadata thing came up, and the storage system needed to manage terabytes and tens of terabytes of metadata because it needed to support different protocols. So a storage engine needed to be used. The first decision was, do we develop our own storage engine or do we take a third-party one? And as most of the companies do today, when they look at what a storage engine is, which is a key value store written in C++, it's a deep tech, it's defining a data structure of how the data will be laid on the media. They immediately say, okay, let's focus on our business and let's take what other giants did. And after a short thought process, it was clearly that we should go on for RocksDB. RocksDB is the most prevalent storage engine. Written C++. It's a key value store developed by Facebook, who forked it from LevelDB, which was developed by Google. They put it then in Apache 2, open source for the entire world, and everyone adopted this as the standard storage engine. So it was like a no-brainer, right? Google can't go wrong. Facebook improved it. This should be like the perfect deal. And they embedded it. It was great till they saw that it wasn't really working as advertised. And they realized that in small data sizes, it was perfect, doing everything it should. In large data sizes, things started to happen. Excessive use of memory and CPU and I/O hangs. And the system began to stutter. And they were like, okay, something's wrong. So they reached out to the Facebook team. And they were giving answers of, no, it's supposed to work like this. We built this storage engine and Google built it to support small data sets. So there is a simple solution. Shard, divide it into small pieces and then everything's going to be great. And my partners, Hilik and Mike, were like, yeah, that's a workaround. That's not a solution. But no. We have thousands of users worldwide using it and everyone's happy. And they were like, we aren't happy. And when they tried to reach out to the community, they found out there was a huge user base, but no community around it. Because Google or Facebook, they're not in the business of building communities. So they said, okay, it's either writing the whole data stack again or trying to improve this. And they decided to improve it. So their mother tongue is Hebrew, but the second language is C++, of course, and they specialize in data structures. So they said, okay, let's build a new LSM tree. LSM is lock structure merge tree, which is the underlying technology on the RocksDB. And they decided to build a new LSM tree. They invented this cool technology, which outperformed the current LSM tree. And then when they had this ready, they came to me and said, we think we're onto something. At that point, I was the CRO of a big database company, and I took it to the clients and said, guys, if we had something compliant with RocksDB, what can outperform it? Would you use it? And they were like, sure. When can we try it?
And it's a drop-in replacement for RocksDB, right?
Yeah, so we forked RocksDB. We made sure the API is the same because we said, if we're going to solve a problem, let's solve everyone's problem, right? And we knew that if there is one thing developers don't like to do is changing their code. So we said, if we want to go to the big market and offer a RocksDB replacement, we want it to be a drop and replace, and that's what we did. So till today, we're 100% compliant with RocksDB and LevelDB.
The problem you're talking about, I'm seeing a lot more frequently, is that what works at one size does not work when it scales, right? We, especially as companies are dealing with more data, bigger environments, more distributed environments, problems you normally would have would invert themselves at scale. So you have to really kind of rethink the whole thing you're doing in order to make it work at scale. And sometimes it's very counterintuitive, right?
Compare it to there's a bus taking 50 kids to school, right?
Right.
You could actually take 50 parents to drive their kids to school, but that will cause a lot of traffic problems and, kids will be late. And this will be a whole logistic operation instead of putting a bus is not necessarily better than a car, but for this purpose, it is. Right? When you're building data structures, you need to really design it for some purpose, right? And Google and Facebook did a perfect thing. So LevelDB and RocksDB are great products for the specific use case. They were designed to support very small data sets. And because of the way Facebook and Google are actually working, they have millions of servers. So they're dividing the data to lots of small data sizes, lots of nodes, which is perfect for them. But when you go to the average customer who is actually paying for these resources, whether it's on-prem or on the cloud, sharding is a very, very challenging thing from a development point of view, from architecture, and of course, financially.
Right.
So when we faced it, we said, okay, this is a perfect product for two companies, but what about the rest of the 100,000 companies? Let's find a better solution for them.
I think your analogy about the car versus bus is really interesting because, a car will get you and your kid to school faster, but when you get to school and there's a huge mob of parents there trying to drop off their kid, all of a sudden it's extremely time-consuming to do that. But if you start bringing them all in a bus and they can just kind of get off the bus, ultimately that will be faster at scale, right?
One other thing, by the way, we realized, and if I was smart enough, I would have realized it 1.5 years ago, is that the fact that not Facebook or Google are in the business of creating communities, we found that to be more interesting than the technology itself, because when you have an open source product that is adopted by thousands of clients, if you don't build a community and provide services for the community, you're missing the whole point of the adoption and to actually be able to let them contribute and create this product even more prevalent. And I was so confident that we had this rocket science technology that everyone would simply buy that I said, okay, who cares about the community, right? Let's sell this product.
Right.
We managed to sell to some big clients and showed great value. What we realized is that if we really want mass adoption and really change the market, because it's an embedded library and the end customer, the buyer itself, is a developer, we should actually listen to the clients and listen to the developers and go open source.
Right.
It took us about 1.5 years. When I say us, it's mainly my fault.
well, that's an interesting thing. Tell me, as the CEO of a company, you've spent all this time, you developed this product, you built it, that instinct to say, hey, this is our effort. We should be able to, just sell it and it's ours. And, that's sort of a hard leap sometimes for a CEO to go wait, maybe this is a better model. but we're gonna sell something that we're giving away for free, right? And like how to wrap your head around that and make it so that it's a financially viable kind of operation.
So I think there was a mixture of feelings between, my personal understanding or misunderstanding or lack of knowledge about the open source. I made a career in IT management, and I made a career in sales, and everything was like, we have this secret technology that we're selling. I didn't meet open source projects, and I really couldn't understand how you could actually give something for free and then monetize it.
Right.
That seems illogical. When I spoke to developers, they're like, go open source. I was like, no. Right. And I think there was a point, I think the first thing was that I spoke to CEOs and to C-level guys, and they were like, if you improve my performance by tenfold, I'm going to buy it. If you allow me to do more with less, that's a no-brainer. And I was like, we got a deal. This is a big customer, right? And then it went down to the developer, and we were like, okay, when are you going to implement it? And the answer was, I'm not going to do that. And I was like, no, the CEO said you should. He said, I don't care. This is my thing. I want to
fussy
understand
developers.
I want to understand the technology. I want to see the code. Maybe I want to contribute. I want to hear what's not working. Now, in sales, in marketing, everything's perfect, right?
Right.
But in reality, it's not. So when you're selling to developers, when we want developers to adopt, you need to speak differently. And it took me some time, but after so many clients told me, go open source. You'll find a way to monetize. And if you want to change the market, this is the way. I started thinking, okay, maybe I don't have all the answers. And I think it was one specific breakfast that I had with a very interesting woman founder of an Israeli startup, who told me the sentence, Adi, don't be afraid. The world has enough money, but not enough engineers.
That's true.
So if you open source your code and it's valuable, engineers will not try to copy and to use it for free. They will use it. They will offer you to improve it. They're super smart. They'll help you develop it. And if it's valuable, they will pay for it.
Right.
And she was right. So I think about 3 months later, I took my co-founders and my investors, and we started talking, okay, guys, how do we move to open source? Now, this is not an easy decision because I had this pipeline of huge customers, and moving to open source means that some of them will simply say, we need the open source. What will happen to my pipeline, right? I'm a CEO of a company.
That's got to be an interesting conversation to have with investors too, right?
Yeah. So the first thing was like, Adi, what happened to you? Is everything okay? And I said, hey, guys, I think that if we do that, we're maybe going to give up some of the revenues for this year, but we may gain a lot of adoption and a lot of confidence from the enterprise clients, which will eventually become our clients.
As an open source company, in layman's terms, how are you going to monetize it?
I'm talking like I'm an expert, but I've learned these things in the past year, right? But there are 3 major ways to monetize the open source. One is by support. You open source everything in a very permissive license like Apache 2, and then you sell support like Red Hat. Second way is open core, when you actually open source the core technology and you sell an enterprise version with enterprise features. And the third one is SaaS. And since we are an embedded library that's distributed everywhere, we said the open core is the perfect model. So what we've done, we've taken RocksDB, we've forked it, we've embedded a major part of our technology and improvement to the open source product. So it's 100% compatible and with additional features that will make it a no-brainer for the RocksDB users to move because they get the value. And we've kept some of the secret sauce and enterprise capabilities to the commercial version, where enterprises who need performance at scale and management tools will actually want to buy the commercial thing. Now, there is no very hard line between the open source and the commercial part. And I think that the most important thing is talking to the community and understanding what features they need in the open source that will give the maximum value, but will not hinder the adoption of the commercial.
Right.
And this is something that we keep on talking to the community, asking them the questions. What we've actually done, we have offered the community, we are offering them a voting system where they can actually vote for the roadmap, for the features of the roadmap of the open source to give them maximum control of what they get in the open source. And we ask them, does this feature really fit the open source or the enterprise?
Everybody always says the customer is, the ultimate, judge of whether a product's good or bad, right? And, we see a lot of commercial companies selling products, and they have a hard time talking to their customer base. The thing that's really interesting about what you're doing is you're building a community of the people who use your product, right? And they're not only do they, just use your product, but they also have a personal stake in the product oftentimes, right? They're asking directly for features, they're contributing code. You're getting a level of feedback into your system about what your customers actually need and what their challenges are. You're getting that constant feedback into your product. That's got to really supercharge your development efforts because you're really targeting the most important things, right?
The major challenge of a technology company is to build a business around it.
Right.
And in order to make business around it, you need to have something that is called product market fit.
Right.
Most startups, they start with some geniuses in a lab creating a product that is groundbreaking, and then they go to the market and they realize that no one wants this car that is running on milk. The thing about open source, and it also happened to us, some features that we thought in the lab were perfect, right? When we hit reality, when you spoke to clients, it was like, that's cool, but I don't need it.
Right.
When you're talking to the community, on one hand, you're talking to tons of people, and everyone has his own ideas and his own needs. So you need to really filter them and pick what really suits most. But
Right.
if you follow that rule, your product market fit is perfect because you're doing what your users need.
Right.
And the cool thing about developers, they don't use buzzwords. They don't read articles and tell you we want. No, they have specific needs, specific pains. They're very, very accurate about it. And you simply have to listen.
Yeah.
And I think my take is that I think we have super smart guys in Speedb, but 1,000 engineers that are actually working on the product in production are way more experienced. And sometimes we feel really embarrassed that we thought this is a cool feature which no one would have actually used.
Building community is not an easy thing to do, and the communities tend to be a little demanding and fussy sometimes in the open source world. Not to criticize them. We love them because we love all of our developers, right? But keeping peace and delivering a good experience to everyone is not an easy thing to do. What were some of the challenges that you encountered when trying to build the community, and then how did you go about doing it?
The first thing that I had to keep in mind is a word that no one likes in business is patience. In enterprise sales, you wine and dine, you do some marketing, you meet the right people, you have the right connections, you can close a deal, a big deal.
Right.
When you're trying to build a community, there is no way to shortcut things. It's market education. It's talking to a variety of people. Now, developers, they don't buy statements. They want to see the code. They want to run the benchmarks. They want to have their own experience, and they always have something to say. Now, building a community, first of all, patience. Second, content, value. Create content, valuable content. Don't use marketing fluff. This is super challenging from people, who came from enterprise marketing. It's like,
Right.
We can do this, we can do that, buzzwords. The first thing is the pane of glass you have towards your customer, which is your website. We had an enterprise website saying we run 10 times better, 100 times more scalable, 80% less resources. Now, that's a great statement, but if you run benchmarks, it really depends on the workloads. Sometimes you're better, sometimes you're much better. There is no single rule of we're always better. And when developers see that, the bounce rate was 95%. No one even stayed on site. And we're like, okay, we need to build a new website, ground up, to talk to developers. Second, you need to ask them questions, listen to them. If you ask a question and you don't listen, they react to you, right? And market education is a nightmare for salespeople, right? But if you do it right and you have enough patience, then they join you not because you beg for it. They join you because they see value.
Right.
We are still challenging, and I'm challenging all my people, like, let's get more stars, let's get more downloads, let's get these things. And Adi, we're doing that. And sometimes we do tons of effort in a certain week and we see the KPIs rising just a little bit. And some weeks we speak to the community, we don't do anything, and then KPIs are like higher. So there also isn't a mathematical way to anticipate how the community grows, but I think that what we do see is highly engaged developers on our Discord channels and on the platform that we're actually talking to the community.
And that direct connection has to give you tremendous business agility.
It does. And I can tell you that through our Discord channel, right, when we're helping the community, we actually get the most valuable inputs. The most joyful thing is to see that in our Discord channel, users are talking to each other, answering each other, mentioning our name, talking about our product, which is, sheer joy. And what is cool is that the Facebook team, their R&D team, actually joined our Discord to actually help us build this community, because
That's cool.
community is building and distributing their technology, which we love, right?
Right.
Yeah. So in enterprise sales, it's like the competition. Let's beat the competition. Let's win against the competition. In the community, it's no. Let's create value for the community, and then they come to you. It's not beating everyone. It's just giving more and more in order to get. And
what a novel concept.
Exactly.
It's
give the customer what they want.
About a year and a half ago, if you would tell me that I would be saying these things, I would like, what did you drink before? But now I'm actually seeing it happening.
We kind of talked about, like your journey here a little bit, but so what kind of sets SpeedDB apart? What are kind of like the core use cases around like where people are using this and how they're using it?
Eventually, it's a for-profit company, and we realized on the way that the open source is the right strategy. And but going to the start, I think what made it sense for us is we realized that there is a problem, technology problem that we had as a client, which is the first evidence of there is a problem. We actually went to the vendors to see if there are solutions to that. We couldn't find any. Then we realized that there are thousands of or tens of thousands of customers using this technology, suffering from the same challenges with no technological solution. So when you have a problem, you have the ability to solve it, and there are lots of customers facing the problem. That means that there is a potential for business. The one thing we didn't think about then is that we are going to an open source market to monetize an open source product. So you actually compete on the customer's wallet. That's one of the reasons we realized that open source will be the right way. But I think that early on, we saw that even if people are running technologies for free, but if you give them business value, and I think the biggest value our technology does, it allows customers without a single change of their code do much more with less.
There's a shift in sort of metadata out there, right? And the file sizes are kind of getting smaller, more discrete chunks of data, but the amount of metadata that goes around those chunks is just expanding rapidly, right? And like you said, the previous version, it was just like, well, just shard it, right? And that wasn't really what everybody was looking for. Can you talk about like maybe a use case where you had a customer that was trying to build something at scale, and the sharding was getting very expensive, or how that all played out, and like why they chose to go with SpeedDB?
So I'll give maybe one example. A company called Redis.
We all know that company.
Open source, key value store database. A very successful company. They have both on-prem and SaaS offering. and they were using on the Redis Flash. They were using RocksDB,
Right.
which was working perfectly. What they did is that where they reached the limit of the capacity of RocksDB when the performance started deteriorating, they simply added another node. So they needed to run big clusters in order to provide the data needs of their clients. What we showed them is that with a drop and replace, very easy, no effort at all, they could actually do twice the workloads on quarter of the infrastructure. So from their point of view,
that's a pretty substantial change.
Yeah, from their point of view, they can actually sell 8 times more services for the same infrastructure.
Yeah, that's definitely a good value proposition there.
And we see clients now either deciding to provide more services or more workloads on their existing infrastructure, or even to minimize and cut the costs on the infrastructure and provide the same level of service. We have a cybersecurity company that are selling simulations of cyber attacks to enterprise customers. And Speedb allowed them to sell on the same infrastructure 10 times more simulations.
Yeah.
People like to talk about 10 times more performance and like to talk about the scalability, but essentially you need to find the right value for the customer. And due to the fact that Speedb is an embedded library, it's a pluggable key value store, means that it resides within the application and it can serve tons of use cases because it's so low in the chain. We have databases, gaming, banks, cybersecurity companies, all the blockchain industry is actually running on LevelDB or RocksDB. Big banks, their homegrown applications are actually running on RocksDB. So you can find on every segment of almost different use cases. Not all of them will benefit because some of them don't need the high performance or the scalability. They will use the open source version, but some of them do need the high performance at scale, do more with less, and we're happy to give them our solution.
And the support to go with it too, because when you're running critical business infrastructure on something open source, having that support is really nice.
That's an interesting angle. We found that very big clients were actually looking to buy support for their LevelDB or RocksDB. There was no one to sell it. So sometimes get our open source version, use it for free, but customers really want the support. So they get the commercial version with the support.
Well, help them get successful and eventually they'll get big enough that they need you, right?
I think the founder of Virgin said once about employees, he said, educate them well that they can leave, but treat them well that they won't, right? They will not want to leave.
Right.
And I think same goes for the community. Give them everything they want for free, but bring them enough value that they will want to buy a commercial version and stay with you.
I grew up in Chicago, Illinois. I grew up in a suburb with a huge Jewish community. So I went to so many bar and bat mitzvahs. It's unbelievable. I went to my dad. Now, keep in mind that we're a 100% Indian family, very conservative. And I said to my dad, can I have a bar mitzvah? And he looked at me like, no, you can't. But I'm like, man, it looks amazing. It's so much fun. I just love the culture. I have so many great Jewish friends. And it's cool, like now later in my adult life, I'm in tech. And so I have gotten to see a different side of Israel, which is around the technology side. And I think even a lot of technologists in the US don't really know how much technology innovation is happening in Israel. It's unbelievable, and it keeps on growing. So what's up with that? Like why is there so much tech innovation coming out of Israel?
We can spend an hour, but I think, and I will surprise you maybe, it has nothing to do with Jews in Israel. It has to do with minorities growing in bigger countries. Malcolm Gladwell pointed in one of his books that ethnic minorities, like the Jews, have been always, Israel is about almost 80 years old. But in the past, Jewish communities were in the US, in Europe, wherever, they were minorities. They had to be special at something. They had to innovate. They have to do special things to be smarter, to find the way, shortcuts, to add value, to be accepted to the community, and to create value, to justify their existence. And you can see it across minorities in many, many places where you actually need, you don't own the land because you weren't born there. You can't, you're not in the business, you're not in the community. You need to provide innovation to make things valuable. I think that the Jewish mentality throughout the years was like that. When we came into Israel, Israel is a wonderful place, but with no natural resources. So, we don't have oil. We can't sell, land resources. So it's all about, okay, what can we do to be special? What can we do to innovate? This mentality of, okay, let's innovate, let's do. When you're with the back to your wall, like to the wall, you find new ideas. And, when you have to feed your kids, when you had to provide for your family, you're doing innovative things. The state of Israel in general and the Israeli mentality is that let's think outside the box so we can actually bring value because we don't have these natural resources. I grew in places, and we all grew in places that you don't want to be like everyone else. You want to be special. And in some cultures, if you see, people doing one thing, you say, I want to be like them. In Israel, the thing, at least for me, was be special, do something different. So I think that if you look at RocksDB, for example, thousands of clients used it because, Google developed it, Facebook did. And most of the clients worldwide got the answer of shard the problem as, okay, that's what we do. My founder said, no, we don't want to do what everyone else is doing. Let's try to do better. Now, doing something better than Google or Facebook, this is not something trivial, right?
It's hard.
but they still said, okay, let's think outside the box. Let's maybe design a new LSM tree if we can improve that. And that's how you get tons of innovative ideas. Some of them, naturally don't work, but the mentality of failure here in Israel is like, you failed, so what? Try again.
That's something that we've seen, in all, successful pockets of tech development is the ability to fail, pick yourself up and go again. And that failure doesn't stop you, right? And I think that's the thing, because if you want to be, out on the front lines, you want to push the boundaries of what you're doing, you have to be failing at some point. Because if you're not failing
is part of the process.
It's part of the process, and it means you've kind of pushed yourself to the limit there.
I think we have a live example here. We started as a closed source commercial company. And, if we had conquered the market and selling to everyone, we would have never thought about open source. And we might have, done tens of millions in revenues, being worth hundreds of millions, and happy with our share. But the fact that we couldn't sell to the mass market said, okay, where did we go wrong? Now, building a community, it opens a much bigger market and a much bigger opportunity thanks to the failure. Right. It's about failing and saying, okay, I failed it. What do I do better so I can be successful?
Yeah, I love that kind of story. So tell me, what's next for SpeedDB? Where do you go from here?
We thought that building a community was like, let's 6 months, 12 months, we'll have a huge community and let's go to the next step. I think we have a lot of work building the community. Lucky for us, there are tens of thousands of customers using our technology or our compatible technology, and there's no community. So we can actually take those users, make them a big community, and first of all, use them to improve our product, to build with them. So this is like at least 24 months building that. And then we have other ideas for how to take SpeedDB to the cloud, how to offer it as a service. We have long dreams, but I think that right now we're focused on building the community, bringing value, converting them to the enterprises, to the enterprise license. To do that, we're soon going to a round A to raise some money so we can actually build the community.
Yeah.
If we're able to build this community, then our technology will enable us to build more and more products and eventually be the key value store as a service.
It's funny. I asked that question of so many companies, and I never heard anybody say, I want to build a community. I want to get investment to build a community, which is, it seems like, wow, that is such a piece that's overlooked by so many companies that, like your user base, your customers, your community that you built around your product is the core of your product, right? I mean, that's what's so important about it. It's just a refreshing perspective. So
I couldn't imagine myself saying those things, right?
yeah.
And now it comes out so naturally. I have a great example. About a month ago, we had a client jumping on our Discord and asking, how can I get your commercial version? And my guys told him, no, use the open source, download it, play with it, and then come back and let's see what you need. And I was like, guys, this was an opportunity. He said, Adi, you told us, build a community, bring value. I said, okay. 2 weeks later, he came and said, I love the product, but I need support. I need scalability.
Yeah.
How do we move forward? So now he came to us saying, okay, we need that. Now, at that position, your customer is coming to you saying, okay, I want to be your customer. That's a whole different position to be in.
I think it's a really interesting journey you guys went on. The community aspect of this is really impressive, and I'm excited to see where you guys go from here. And I just want to say thank you so much for coming on and sharing that journey with us. I think it's going to be valuable for a lot of people to hear.
Thank you so much. And for you, Sandesh, if you want a bar mitzvah, come to Israel. We'll have
I
one
want
for
one
you.
too. They're a lot of fun.
I'll take you up on that.
I used to be in a band in high
You too,
school.
Chris.
We played the bar mitzvahs.
I just want to sit on that chair and be tossed around. That just seems like a lot of fun.
I'll provide the chair. I'll provide the chair. We'll get you some nice food and stuff.
All right, we'll
Awesome.
go get Sandesh a bar mitzvah. Thanks so much.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks for watching. I'd love to hear from you in the comments. And please, 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 please hit that subscribe button because that really helps the channel a ton. And I will see you in the next one.